Give us that kind of the story of when you wanted to launch this podcast from when you actually published. Was this overnight? Was it 7 years or somewhere in between?
It's always a decade to be an overnight success, isn't it, Adam? I've loved podcasting for a long time, but I've been doing podcasting, but in a different sort of way for probably 7 or so years. My coaching company is intentional on serving real estate leaders. And so we've been putting out shorts and long form webinars and everything else for probably 7 years now, right? Our YouTube channel is stacked with value. We have close to 6,000 subscribers that are on there. And so realistically, I've been interviewing people and having my own educational times consistently, usually once or twice a month for the last 7 years. So it's been a really comfortable space for me to be, but I recognize that podcasting is this platform in which I can now regurgitate the same message in so many different mediums. So the podcast, the videos, the little snippets that can come from it, it made great sense. And in 2019, I wrote my first book. It's called Play for the Person Next to You. It's a leadership book. And the mistake I made, which is so ironic, before you and I jumped on this, you gave me very, very, very great specifics on how I can enhance what I'm doing right now. And foolish for me, even though I've been to the dance before, I forgot the rhythm. I wrote my book in 2019 as a leadership book thinking, I'm going to be on every coffee table in America. And wouldn't you know, I've sold tens of copies. I say that joke. I've sold thousands of copies, right? But I say that because I have to be my own hype person. Nobody's going to hype it like I'm going to hype it. And your podcast, for me, is that same way. I have to be the person that hypes it. But I didn't have a target audience that was identified. I didn't have a clear avatar to who I was speaking to. I just wrote a general leadership book. I failed to understand the expertise that I had in the arena that I had, because I'm like, well, it's all good for everybody. Like, if you can learn this as a real estate team leader, you can learn it as an insurance salesperson and an educator, and you name it. But if you don't speak to a specific audience, you miss it, right? There's riches in the niches. And I failed to do that. So I recorded a full season of my podcast. My first podcast that I ever did was called Hatching Leaders. I cleverly put my name on everything. And so I called it Hatching Leaders. And I just did kind of my own audible version of the book. And I put it out there. And once again, I had tens of listeners. Literally, I'm sure I had thousands. But what came down to it is I didn't have a specific niche of who I was talking to, and then I didn't hype it well enough. So to your original question, how did I get this idea, or how long have I been dreaming of a podcast? It's been years until I actually pulled the trigger. And now to do it right, I'm still fumbling and stumbling my way through it.